Hello everyone and welcome to Quality Sewing and Vacuums How to Why for Tuesday. It is December 12th and I'm so excited that you're here with me. Happy holidays, Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, Happy Kwanzaa. Today I brought in an embroidery design from OESD right over here. It's called the Winter Sentiments Card Collection. The gals from November, Sandy, Tony, and Lily, brought that in already, but they did something really fun and really creative with it. And I wanted to show you how you can make these really cute gift card bags, right? Like this. Okay, we're gonna work on that today. But first, I wanted to tell you a little bit about this machine that I was working on, that I made these on. This is the Brother Stella Air 2. It was such a fun machine. It not only embroiders, but it does regular stitching as well. If you come over here with me to my little rack right here, I was able to make, I was sampling the machine, and I made a little dress for my daughter this month, and I used some of the designs that were already in the machine right here. I made this for my best friend's husband. It says official protector of chickens because he is now the official getter-upper in the middle of the night. They live out on the peninsula with all the wild animals, so he gets up in the middle of the night to protect the chickens. Anyways, I got all of that design out of the machine. I was able to program it into there already. So I was able to make those, but today this is the USB stick that I put into the machine. I'm going to press play right here and I'm going to finish. I hadn't quite finished it, but I started it for you because I didn't want you guys to have to watch me do this for 15 minutes because that's boring. So we're going to get 1 minute into there. I'm going to press start right there. And while that's finishing up its design, we're going to go over here to the little bags that I already made because I'm going to tell you what I used to make them and the threads that I used with it. So I'm going to hold this one up because it has all kinds of little goodies in it right here. Can you see that? Oh yes, there we go. No shine. So we have some little gift cards here. This is our fabric one. This is just a gift card for any amount that you want to put on it. And then these are the Seattle chocolates that we have here at the thread wrap. But look at how nicely those fit right in there and they push all the way down inside. So it's a great size for the gift card and a little goodie too. So this one says peace on it. This one says Happy Hanukkah. This one says Happy Kwanzaa. This one, now these two are my first experiments right here. I was experimenting with threads and colors and how to put the ribbon in and everything. So they're not my favorite. So I'm redoing this tree one because I liked it, but my color choice was not that great. As you can see, you can't hardly see the little trees on there. So I'm redoing that one right now in different threads. These two I made with the Madeira collection right here. You can see how these are kind of shiny. I liked how they had the shininess to them. They picked up the light, but I wasn't having to work with metallics. This was great also because if you're a beginner embroiderer, then these are going to just be fabulous. These are 40 weight threads and it's one ply. So they're thin, they're going to go right into your machine. They're going to be able to be used with all of your embroidery needles and they come out beautifully. You can see how well they stitched out. I had no broken threads and it was a snap to do these. But I wanted to use some of the other thread packs that I had I purchased. So I decided I was going to try out my spaghetti thread. Actually, first I want to talk about the King Tut thread. Right here is the King Tut thread. This is also 40 weight thread, but there's a difference between this thread and the Madeira thread. This is 2-ply thread and the Madeira thread is 1-ply. So if you think of it like toilet paper, it's thicker because it has 2 strands instead of just 1 single strand. So anyways, I liked this because it was a little bit thicker. And I love the King Tut because it's variegated and it gives you that kind of organic ombre effect right there. So the ones that I did with the King Tut is right here. You can see how the colors change inside of the, as it embroiders out. Okay, so, and the one that I did on here is also on the machine is the variegated, but I'll show you that in a second. I'm going to set that aside. And then I got this beautiful spring pack this last year of spaghetti thread, and I hadn't had quite a chance to use it because, you know, we see something pretty and we buy it and we know we're going to use it sometime. So this was actually a really fun project to experiment with these spaghetti threads, because I just used these little craft packs of felt to make these. I put it in my hoop on one side, and if I totally did terrible at the experiment with the spaghetti threads, it was a 99-cent piece of felt, and I didn't feel that bad about it. So this is a great way to start experimenting with that. So what I found when I was making these two, and these are by far my favorites. I really love the texture of the spaghetti thread that came out on these. The letters and the images just pop right out of it. I had to change my needle. I used a jean and leather needle because the eye of the needle was bigger and it punched a bigger hole into the fabric so it could push that really thick thread down into there. So the spaghetti threads are a 12 weight thread, which means it's really, really thick. It's almost like a piece of embroidery floss, like this. And one other thing that I also found that I needed to do in order to make the spaghetti thread work is I needed to slow the speed down all the way. And I went into the settings of my machine and set the settings from 4, the tension from 4 all the way down to 2 in my settings. Okay, and if you have any questions about that, you just come into any local Quality Sewing and Vacuum store. We're in the Tequila store, that's why I said that. You come into your local store and you ask the gals how to switch the settings on your machine to get your tension to go lower, and they'll do it. Because I love you. Okay, so I'm going to set those aside because our embroidery is done. Here's my little ribbon that we're going to use right there. All right, I'm going to switch around to this side. And did you know that these come undone when you are setting up your, okay, I'm just going to set that aside right there. That is supposed to come off. I'm so sorry, guys. As I was turning myself around, it is supposed to come off there on your furniture. Okay, so I finished our design here. It says, look, it's finished embroidering with a little smiley face. And I press OK. Yay! I'm going to exit out of there. Return. And then we're going to go back to the little home screen. Am I done? Can I cancel the current pattern? Absolutely, because we're all done with that. All right. I'm going to make sure my foot is up. I'm going to go right underneath here and get my hoop out. Like so, and look at our fun little embroidery. I think these little snowmen turned out, or snowmen, these trees, oh my goodness. These trees turned out so much better than the other ones. I think you can see them a lot better. So I'm going to release that. Actually, there's this really cool tool in your little toolbox right there that has a little screwdriver on there that makes it so you don't have to do that with your hands. All right, I'm going to loosen it up just like that. We're going to pop it out of our frame. We're going to set our frame aside because we're all done with that. And here's our trees, and we got the tearaway stabilizer. We're just going to tear that out like so. Going to tear out any large pieces. I'm not too worried about this because this is going inside of a little goodie bag to really take off too much of it. Okay. Then I'm going to fold my felt in half. See, it's not quite on there super straight. No worries. We have that beautiful line around the edges. And I'm going to take my scissors like so, just so I have it in half. When we go back in and stitch it together, it'll be nice and set right like that. Okay, so now we're going to set this aside right here because we're going to switch the unit from stitching, or our embroidery unit. We're going to set this aside and put on the regular sewing little table there. I'm going to turn it off, and this has a little handle underneath. We're going to slide it off right like that. Set my felt aside. I'm going to set my unit over here. I'm back. Okay, here's our little table. I'm going to set it up. And right like that, we're ready to sew again. Yay! Okay. So the first thing that we're going to do a little decorative stitch around this little square around the edges. The first thing I'm going to do is set the back aside, and we're just going to go across this little line across the top, right there. And how we're going to do that is I'm going to go into sewing. And I'm going to do the decorative stitch number 3. And we're going to go to character, decorative stitch. And we'll choose this one because I think it has little snowflakes in here. There we go. Okay, so I'm going to do this one because it has a snowflake and then a diamond and a snowflake. All right, so I need to know what foot to put in there. So I'm going to look all the way up to the top, and it has an actual picture of a foot right there, which is really awesome. Right now, the unit, our sewing machine is set up to do embroidery, but we don't need that anymore. So I'm going to use our little tool here, handy dandy little screwdriver, and we're going to, actually I'm going to put that, no, okay, doesn't want me to put it up. We're going to release that. From the back here, it is plugged in the back, so I'm going to unplug it first. And right like that, we've released our embroidery foot. I'm going to set that aside. And right inside here, we have, if I can get it out, hold on. There we go. It's just a little tiny shank. Just like this. We're going to put it onto the back of the machine. I'm going to do it with my fingers until I can't anymore. We're going to tighten it up just a wee bit more. Set that aside. And this says I need to use foot N. So I'm going to go in here in my set here, and this is the N right here. I'm going to grab N. I'm going to raise my foot. And it just slides right underneath here. There's a little tiny lever in the back. And it just pops right in. Yay! Just like that. So now we're set up to do our decorative stitching right here. And this, if I leave it as is, it's going to be very small and very tiny and take a long time to do. So let's make it bigger so it'll go a lot faster. I'm going to make my stitch length go to 4.5. That'll go really fast. And I am just going, oh, I need to thread my needle because I unthreaded it a second ago. So I'm going to press that button. Look at that automatic threader. I love the automatic threader. It's so beautiful. Okay, put my tail behind. And because I already have this line right here, I'm just going to put that line straight down the little line in the middle of my foot. And I'm going to follow it from there. But before I do that, I'm going to set it up. This is one of my favoriteest parts of these new age sewing machines is I'm going to set it up to knot at the beginning and the end, and to cut the thread at the very end. Okay, so I'm going to put my foot down. I'm going to adjust it just a little bit. I want it right in the middle. Okay, there we go. Here we go. It's going to do our fabulous little snowflake right along the edge here. And once I get to this corner here, I'm going to press the button up here so it will stop and knot and cut it. Getting closer. Right there is where I want it to stop. That looks about good. And there we have our little stars. I'm going to trim. I always like to trim my ends as I go. Always trim it, because you don't want these little ends to get caught in the other threads, and then it's such a pain to have to get it out later. Okay. I am just going to match up my two edges along here and along here. And now that we have the front and the back together, I'm going to place it right here. I'm going to grab my little piece of ribbon that will turn into my handle. Oh, you know what? Let's go back over to the cutting table really quickly. I almost forgot. Okay. Because we're putting in the ribbon, we want to cut and trim this top part. And I brought in like a year ago, we brought in this pinking blade for your rotary cutter, and it is so beautiful. I do have the scissors, the sheer pinking blades, but I can never get my edges super straight. But when you use it with a ruler and your pinking blade with your rotary cutter, your edges come out perfect every time. So what I need to do is I need to gauge how far away I want it from the edge here compared to this little guy right here. I accidentally didn't hoop him very nicely, and so I got him really close to the edge, but that's okay, no worries. I'm going to gauge everything off of this point right here. So I'm going to turn this around, and it looks like we're going to have about 1/4 of an inch right there. So I'm going to gauge it off of here. I'm going to go right to about 1/4 of an inch, like so. And right like that, we've got ourselves some little ruffles on the edges. Okay, now that that is all prepared right there, now we're going to go back over to the sewing machine. Make sure you do that first. Otherwise, you won't get the very cute thing on the very top. But I'm going to save doing the edges until the very last, until they're all sewn together. That way my edges are going to be perfect because they're going to be side by side. But these two, because it's the opening, aren't side by side. So you won't need, I don't know, I like to be matchy-matchy. So let's go back over to the machine right over here. And we're almost done. Oop. I'm going to throw in this little ribbon right here. Right there. Once again, I'm going to be using the center of this line right here and following that line. Oh, you know what? I'm going to turn up our speed so this will go even faster. Are you ready for this? Let's go. When we get down to this corner right here, I'm going to show you what I do to get a pretty decent corner right here. I always try to end as close to the inside of my stitch as possible because my center stitch is right here and it's going on that side of the center and this side of the center, and I try to end on this side so when I pivot it'll go back and forth right along the middle line instead of being outside the line, if that makes any sense. Okay, I'm going to go just a couple more stitches, I think. Okay, I'm going to back up. Nope, not backing up. It ended it, but that's all right. That works too. If you want to just end it and then restart it. Just flip it and turn the edge, and here we go. We're going to go again. I almost wish it could go a little bit faster, huh? Let's see if we can make it go faster. Here we go. I'm really loving the variegated purple with this light blue. I thought it would be super fun. And the cool thing about this design that we're using is it's kind of a doodly design. So it lends itself to using odd colors in ways that you don't usually see them. Like the snow, and the snowflakes are orange in this case with the king tut thread, and it's got a yellow Christmas tree. Oh, that was perfect. Do you see it? It's right on the corner there. So because it ended with the foot half up, I'm able to turn it right like that. Did you see that? I love this feature about these new sewing machines is when it goes all the way up, you can't really tell where your foot is or your needle is going, but with this half pop up, you can see and turn that corner perfectly. Okay, here we go. We're almost there. I'm going to start locating the other part of my ribbon because you don't want to forget about doing the other side. Getting close, getting close. Okay, right about there, I'm going to pause. I'm going to take my little ribbon and I'm going to put it right in the middle there, where I think it will make a nice little handle, right like that. Actually, I'm going to slide this in just a little bit more. There we go. Okay, we're almost done. And then we're going to go over to the cutting table and we're going to trim this up and we'll be all done. Going to tell that I'm all done. And it nodded and it cut it. Okay, let's go over to the cutting table. Turn around here. I am going to get my little scissors and I'm going to trim that tail because we don't want tails. That tail, we're going to trim this tail, flip it over to the back, trim out these tails, because when you trim your tails, that's the sign of a good seamstress. Okay. Right like that, we're going to go use our, oh, I love these Quilter Select rulers. They are just so fabulous. I love how you can see through them and you have the most amazing accuracy. We are 1/4 of an inch away. Like the other side, I'm going to take my pinking. Oh, look at that. Look at how cute that is. I'm so excited. So these are great gifts to give away, to fill up with little things for your mailman, for a hostess if you're invited to a holiday party, to teachers for if you've got kids, grandchildren, neighbors, friends. are a quick little gift to make that you can fill with all kinds of little goodies. And right like that, you have yourself a little Christmas goodie bag. So thank you so much for joining us today and making these in the hoop little goodie bags. We hope that you'll join us again. Do we have any questions? No questions? Well, let us know if you do. All these things that you've seen are available here at our stores or online. Have a happy holiday, and we'll see you in the new year.